It's Clark and Perry
on the case.
Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry do what it takes. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.
Hello, and welcome to the Windy City's finest, Meeting the Crew edition. So what we got going on right now is that you'll be meeting me, Brent. Dan is just sitting behind the camera right now with a multitude of questions that he'll be asking me. And then, yeah, we'll kind of find a way to swap the roles here pretty soon as well, too. So you get the opportunity or chance to ask any questions that you may or may not want to know. So yeah, a quick summary about myself is that my name is Brent Clark.
My name is Daniel J. Perryman.
I graduated the U of L with a BFA in Dramatic Arts back in 2020.
I graduated from the University of Lethbridge, much like Brent, from the BFA Dramatic Arts program. I graduated in 2019.
And then ever since then, I've been recently working into the agricultural industry. And then at the same time, I've been filling my time with improvisational theater through Theatre Outré here locally in Lethbridge as well too.
Got a few projects under my belt, and then the pandemic hit. Feel very fortunate to have this project and be working with Brent. He's amazing. And yeah, looking very, very much forward to what the future holds. That was a really brief and broad bio, but I'm just going to throw it to Brent.
Show me what you got.
All right. So our first question for you, Brent, is going to be, what are you most proud of about yourself?
Yeah, I always find I'm still quite early in my career, and I find myself quite prideful of the milestones that I see upon my life. Like graduating the U of L was one of those big milestones as well too, and solidifying myself as an artist here with Theatre Outré was probably one of my more prouder accomplishments. Getting the job at Corteva, where I work, was probably one of the bigger, like, whoa, what the heck? Because I was in the desperate throes of COVID. Because I'm sure people remember, 2020 was kind of a mess. So yeah, I'd say that was probably a few of the ones that I'd like to talk about.
Nice. And how long have those milestones taken? So typically I know university degree is about 4 years, but like establishing yourself in the Lethbridge community, how long has that kind of taken you? Or was there a specific point or event that you were like, oh, here I am?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, so graduating the U of L, I took 4.5 years because I worked a part-time job and just took a little less load of classes. So I technically finished classes in December 2019, so I got out just in time before January hit to when everything shut down. And then I've been performing and doing work here in Lethbridge for the past like 3.5 years now, it feels like. So I feel like those were probably like how long it takes. I think at that third year, I think I did an improv performance and then was like, oh man, I'm not nervous as much as I have been before in the past. I think I'm starting to get used to this. So it was one of those milestones that I was like, I'm intermediate finally. So yeah, it was good.
What am I most proud about in myself? I think I'm very proud of my ability to reflect on myself and my experiences and my life. Yeah, I feel as though that's something precious to me, is being able to take time to reflect, take a breath and breathe. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been really kind of incorporating members of the community. So for example, with my work at Corteva, I do a lot of engaging work there as well too, in a field that I never thought I'd ever be in as well, and incorporating a lot of new standards on the corporate level and bringing it into the work site. So it felt pretty great at the time because I got recognized across the national board, at least at Corteva. So what is your greatest accomplishment?
I don't know. I was born in England, UK. Yeah, my parents, I immigrated to Canada, like just over a decade ago now. And so just kind of following my passion, like graduating from university, kind of making a new life for myself. And yeah, just really, I think, listening to my heart and doing where I found value, just for myself, like intrinsically. My next question for you is, what are you still hoping to accomplish in life?
Yeah, I'd like to publish something one of these days. I don't know what kind of thing it would be, whether or not if it would be a play or a book or a module of some kind, but I definitely want to have something that's like physically out there and something that people may or may not want in the first place. I don't know. I just have always romanticized the. Is there anything that you're still hoping to accomplish?
Well, so many things.
Yeah.
So many things.
You're already a jack of all trades.
Yeah. And I don't know. I would really love, I would love to be able to like work internationally. I'd love to like be able to work in the UK, you know, for a couple months, and then I come back to Canada, or, you know, like, yeah, working internationally and getting to travel would be incredible. My next question is, what do you want people to know about you?
So I don't know if people already know this, but I perform in theatrical improv, so it's been really good. I don't know. I also really like doing the instructional assistant work that I do as well too. So teaching students, I really enjoy kind of that workshop atmosphere. What do you want people to know about you?
I'm pretty self-conscious about my dialect. Yeah, I don't know. I was 14 when we moved from England to Canada, and so I didn't. My parents, for example, their dialect is like set in stone. They sound like they're from Birmingham, and sometimes it pops out when I'm speaking, but it's not a conscious thing. And I think part of that is I found my way into acting, and I had to learn to enunciate. And so basically, it's ironic because ever since I found acting and started that journey, I've developed, you know, this weird dialect where, yeah, just a weird dialect where it's kind of British, it's not quite Canadian, and it's just somewhere in the middle. And people have asked me where I'm from, and I've asked, I usually flip it and I'm like, well, where do you think I'm from? And I've heard all over the planet. So yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm just trying to have fun. But yeah. Next question is, what do you need more of in your life?
Also a good question. I would really like to see more arts here in Lethbridge as well too. And it's part of the reason why we're doing this project in the first place, is that we wanted to kind of highlight and give the opportunity to other artists to maybe, well, not only is there a huge benefit for us for this being a training program, but to be producers for the first time, but also kind of helps us give other artists an opportunity to show off their skills and their abilities that they've been doing over the past years. And for us, selfishly enough, I get to learn a bunch of new skills and all that stuff too, and learn a bunch of new things. So it's been really fun. So, what do you need more in your life?
Balance. Yeah, balance. It's really hard. There's a lot of work that goes into being an artist. And I think the beautiful thing about it is that, you know, if you're consuming art or media, right, films, television, it's just like, it's almost, yeah, I feel like it's quite you don't have to think about that. Like, that's not the purpose of it, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, the purpose of it oftentimes is to look easy. Yeah. But especially, yeah, on an independent level, it's a lot of work, and it's hard to find balance. And anybody that works like a gig economy, you know, I'm sure they'll tell you it's really hard, because sometimes it's hard to say no to things, especially if you have bills to pay. But sometimes you have to, and just finding that balance between work and yourself, because at the end of the day, you are your work. Like, you are your instrument, you know? So our next question is, what do you need less of in your life?
Oh, okay, this is going to be controversial for sure. But I think the world's ready to hear it. Country music, Alberta, you take it way too seriously. Like, got to tone it back a little bit there. I don't know. I've just never really been a country fan. That's just not my vibe. The cowboy hats, I find, I'm sorry, but it makes me think of Woody from Toy Story, like all the time. And I mean, don't get me wrong. People really love the rodeo. I really love the shows as well too. There's a lot of money all behind that stuff and ranching, and a lot of my friends are farmers. Love that too. But yeah, country music is just not my thing. That's the one thing I target. What do you need less of in your life?
Oh, what do I need less of in my life? Anxiety, depression. I don't know.
I mean, I think everybody could agree with that.
Yeah, you know, and in of itself, like, that's somewhat comforting, you know, to know that you're not alone, but still everybody's experience is different. And yeah, so maybe with that train of thought, I would say isolation, which is, you know, coming out of the pandemic is yeah, like, just, yeah, isolation is what I need less of.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely.
Fair enough. Awesome. Next question is, what 3 words describe what you're most grateful for?
Yeah, I'd say for me, family, community, which can be a bigger extension of family, and then I think support. I don't know, care, I guess. It's weird. It's very soft ones, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like that is kind of like some very strong foundations. People always look for community everywhere, and in a ton of different groups, like artists like ourselves find other artists. The lawnmower enthusiasts find other lawnmower enthusiasts as well too. So I don't know, it's one of those important foundations I find that all people kind of crave and need and desire. What 3 words describe what you're most grateful for?
3 words that describe what I'm most grateful for? I think I'd have to say opportunity, space, and the 3rd word would be like grounded, or like roots. Yeah, that's super abstract, and I get that, but I don't know. Those are the 3 words that come to mind when I just think broadly about my life and what I'm grateful for. How do you cope when things get hard?
Take a deep breath.
Nice.
That's what I got to do. And I try to simplify things, put them down into lists. If I got a bunch of things going on at once, putting them in a list and seeing things get crossed off is a really great way for me. And if things are truly, truly overwhelming, I take a step back. I understand that I'm going to be in a headspace that is not beneficial to the group I'm working with or myself or anything like that. So I don't just get up and leave, but I'd be like, I need 5, and then kind of walk off type thing. Sometimes you need those times just to kind of, again, start to cognitively and logically think again. So yeah, I think those would be the ways that I cope. Breathe, cross things off the list. So dumb it down. Dumb it down. How do you cope when things get hard?
I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, you mentioned taking a deep breath, and I think that's very, very true to, you know, an actor's training potentially. Take
Mhm.
a deep breath. I think a big thing for me is just like quality time with loved ones. Yeah, for example, like again, I'm quite what's the word? Not outgoing, but
Introverted.
So like I actually quite like just spending time like with someone, or like, yeah, and like not necessarily in conversation, but maybe you're just doing different things, like maybe playing like games or something. And yeah, so quality time, I think, is what I need oftentimes to cope with difficult things. Who sticks out as being an early positive influence in your life?
Yeah, okay, so this is kind of funny. So the way, so positive influences have been very weird for me, because I've always looked up to a bunch of people that have turned out to be not so good people, which I find, I don't know, maybe some people can relate to, but I grew up watching Two and a Half Men with Charlie Sheen in it, and I'm sure people are already aware that Charlie Sheen wasn't like the ideal role model for a 14-year-old kid that was watching his show. But also the show probably wasn't the best to be watching for a 14-year-old, but whatever. And then so the positive, like, and then there's a long road of other influential figures that I looked up to and was like, oh, I probably shouldn't. So I stopped. But I'd say that one that has always stayed good, and one that will break my heart if anything goes down, is Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is, well, yeah, he's a Canadian icon, and one of the most talented men that I would probably imagine, like besides Tom Cruise, I guess, who does his own stunts and is able to fly helicopters and jets and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, he's done tons on Broadway. He's got such a great singing voice. And, like, for me, I always loved him in the Wolverine movies.
Yeah.
But for me, what blew my mind was when he was in The Greatest Showman. When I watched that for the first time, I was kind of like, whoa, you mean he's not just Wolverine? I know everybody probably said something like that, but it was a really good step and a good view. What's the word? It was a very good way to see him and to see his versatility. Who is most important to you now?
Yeah, my partner, Shelby. Who is most important to you now?
Hugh Jackman. Just kidding. No, there's so many people that are important to me. I'd say I got a lovely partner that I enjoy being with as well too. I got some family and supporting friends as well too, and some people that like working with me on a couple projects as well too. So I guess I'm just thankful for the community that Lethbridge has to offer for the most part. So it's tough to name just one.
No, that's fair.
How did you feel about where you grew up?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I immigrated from England, UK, when I was 14. And so, yeah, it's quite ironically, I guess a word would be isolated. Yeah, I don't know. We moved, and my parents were phenomenal. It was such a positive thing. It was all about opportunity and everything. But hindsight is 2020, and I realize now that I was just kind of thrown into it at quite a pivotal age. I think, an entirely new culture. Maybe not entirely new, but a new culture at the age of 14, and I think that's a really pivotal age. And so I almost feel like I didn't have the time or maybe capacity to keep in touch with my childhood friends in England because I was trying to make new friends and figure out life here. So yeah, potentially isolated is like a word that I would use. How did you feel about where you grew up?
Yeah, that's a big question. I was actually born in Woodstock, New Brunswick, and I moved here like 15, 16 years ago or so. Back, like, I was still in like, I think I was moving into grade 3 at the time. But for me, there was always still some family that lived back there. And it was kind of like a weird transitionary period for me, because like I would always hear news about, you know, my cousins or other like aunts, uncles, grandparents, all that stuff too over east, but I wouldn't see them for like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. So it was, yeah, it was, I felt quite disconnected. So that kind of brought me up in a certain way, I'd say. But there was always a lot of pride from being from there as well too, being like, from the East Coast, let's go. There still is a lot of that as well too. I got some favorite brands and everything like that too, but I can't list them, not here. But yeah, I'd say it's been nice. It's been a key point of inspiration for me during my early university years and the majority of my early career as well too. But
I have another question on that.
Yeah.
When's the last time you went back, or how frequently do you go back?
Yeah, with me getting older, the frequency is definitely like slowed down quite a bit. So I think the last time I was there was last April, and then the time before that was 4 years ago. So I don't anticipate I'll be back there for a while unless if I plan my own trip, because typically I've just gone with the family or whatever. So yeah, just the immediates. So mom, dad, my brother. We just fly out together type thing. Who are you most like in your family?
Most like in my family? It's weird because I think I have an older brother, and I think my parents have always said that, oh man, is it backwards? I think my parents have always said that I'm a lot like my dad, who is quite introverted as well. And my brother is a lot like my mom, who's quite extroverted. But then I became an actor, which, you know, typically I think is considered to be quite an extroverted profession, right? And, you know, I can be social and I can be extroverted, and but I think it comes from a place of like trying to like care for everybody, like to give everybody a chance or opportunity to speak, you know, like that's really important to me. So I don't know, that's probably a whole tangent in there somewhere, but yeah, I don't know. Does that, what was the question again?
Like, who are you most like in your family?
Oh, okay.
You definitely answered. I feel there's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I guess potentially my dad, but like also my mom, based on what I chose to do for work, you know? Who are you most like in your family?
Oh, I'm definitely more like my mother. I'm a mama's boy. Looking back on your life, who or what makes you instantly light up?
Who or what makes you instantly light up? I don't know, like there's some like childhood photos like of me in like this red, like literally a baby in like a red jumpsuit, and like I'm sitting at a piano. I don't play piano, but just like stuff like that, and especially you know, just going camping or just trips with my cousin Hanny, shout out. Photos of that, and yeah, that stuff makes me, I mean, I'm probably not lighting up right now, but yeah, inside, you know, introverted, yeah, makes me feel warm inside. Who or what makes you instantly light up?
There is There's a performance we did here at Theatre Outré called No Way Out. It made me go through all of my childhood photos. There's this one photo where I'm on the beach in Shediac in New Brunswick, and my great aunt and uncle have a cottage there. And so the beach there was always like the vacation of the family vacation. So I have actually this huge clam. Mind you, I'm probably like 5, so it's maybe not huge, but but it was this really big clam that I had to pick up with both hands, and I'm just smiling, looking into the camera, and just showing off this clam. So I don't know. I'd say that to me, I'm just laughing about it already because a few of my friends have made a meme out of it and all that stuff too. So yeah, I'd say that's probably one of them. What makes your life feel purposeful?
Recently, it has been kind of this process of dissemination of what I'm learning professionally, and trying to find ways to share that basically with my peers or the people in the community. And I'm finding a really great sense of purpose in that. And yeah, honestly, that's what gives me purpose. What makes your life feel purposeful?
Yeah, that's a good question. I found that has evolved over the course of the years. Like, it's so funny how I actually got into the arts in the first place. It was, I first did it because it was a fun hobby and a fun excuse to kind of just hang out with friends and be silly. And then eventually it kind of morphed into something, there's actually, there's business, there's art around this as well too. And for me, what I love doing is providing outreach to people who may not have been as fortunate as me, because I'll consider myself very fortunate for being able to get a nice job and still perform in the midst and heat of COVID, where a lot of people like myself just weren't able to do the same. So what makes me feel purposeful is giving other people a purpose.
It's Clark and Perry on the case. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry do what it takes. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.